Big seas whipped up by strong winds cause chaos on the New South Wales south coast. And at Port Kembla, the tug Hero is driven onto jagged rocks and overturned, and the freighter Bulwarra dashed against the jetty. The 160-ton tug was trying to pull the 4,000-ton Melbourne freighter from a mudbank when the tow line snapped, fouling the tug's propeller. Her side hauled by rocks, Hero is abandoned. Bulwarra pounds against the jetty, buckling the plates and tearing a gaping hole above the waterline. A coastal gale with a grim trail of wreckage, a freighter hold, and a tug which has saved many ships from disaster, now herself abandoned to the wild seas. Victoria, a new step forward in the search for oil in Australia. They call this rig Lucky Henry, and it's named for Victoria's Premier Henry Bolte, who's on hand to see operations begin. 2 miles from the Frome Broken Hill Company's first well that struck promising gas deposits last year. Tests have shown this is the better site, and hopes are high that Lucky Henry will come in even better.
He must know something, but don't say nothing. He just keeps rolling. He keeps on rolling along. He don't plant potatoes, he don't plant cotton. Them that plants them is soon forgotten, but old man River, he just keeps rolling along. You and me, we sweat and strain, body all aching and racked with pain. Tote that barge, lift that bale, show a little grit, and your land's in jail. But I keeps laughing instead of crying. I must keep fighting until I'm dying. And old man River, he'll just keep rolling
Paul Robeson, first celebrity to sing at Sydney's Opera House. Like an atom cloud off New Guinea's coastline, smoke 20,000 feet high shrouds Manum Volcano as it belches red-hot streams of lava into lush green jungle. After 3 years of silence, the volcano has stirred dangerously into life again with an awesome display of nature's fireworks. The spurts of lava running down its steep sides go to within 200 yards of native villages, and lava still overflows from the rim of the crater. Flying through sulphurous gases and clouds of pumice dust, we're over the northern crater now, and you can peer into the very heart of a live volcano, boiling its brew of molten rocks down below. The Manum Island natives are happy-go-lucky about the eruption. They don't want to leave the island, but experts from the administration will move them if the situation gets worse. New Guinea can't forget Mount Lamington and what can happen when a volcano really blows its top, and is taking no chances as Manum Volcano continues to rumble out its threats. Seven are dead and 23 injured as 3 carriages of the Midlander Express plunge through a wooden bridge between Longreach and Rockhampton. The bridge, apparently weakened by debris in flooded Medway Creek, collapsed after the Express's first locomotive had got safely across. A generator car and 3 sleeping carriages lie twisted in the creek. At least 3 of the victims drowned, trapped in the wreckage. 7 deaths in a tragedy caused by a sudden flood. Sydney's trams, after years of service, have almost had it. This steam tram, of course, ran its last trip some years ago, and what a trip it was. The wheels got an extra drop of oil, the fireman really stoked the furnace, she let off a bit of steam, the driver grabbed the controls, and wham, what a tram! The fare was a penny, and the old tram was the original guided missile. Then came the toast track, much more sedate and a lot more expensive. Sydney then saw the corridor tram, but seldom with so many vacant seats. Now they're on the way out too. Alas, our grandchildren won't know what we mean when we say, he shot... The 10,000-ton tanker Horn Clipper stands off Sydney Heads. One of her tanks ruptured by a collision with the 6,000-ton coastal freighter Booneroo. The freighter, now safe at anchor, has a gaping 20-foot hole in her bow. She had just left port bound for Newcastle when the collision occurred. Visibility was perfect at the time of the crash. The fire float Bore breaks up the slick of kerosene which pours from the tanker. Horn Clipper was struck only 10 feet from her high-octane aviation fuel tank. 10 feet that made all the difference between life and death in this unexplained collision at sea. Two of these giant chimneys are about to topple to make way for a highway. Experts are on the difficult job that's been 5 days in preparation, and the final gelignite charges are rammed home. In a densely built-up suburb like Alexandria, the twin chimneys, which tower 140 feet into the sky, have to fall with pinpoint precision. And Demolition Chief Brian Nicholson's just the man to do it. He was to have blown up the harbour bridge if the Japs invaded, and this is mere child's play for him. Down they come. Falling side by side and scattering 250,000 bricks with a thundering roar in a cloud of dust. Dr. Barbara Moore is interviewed at Mascot Airport when she arrives by air to begin a 400-mile walk from Albury to Blacktown. That's a mere stroll for Dr. Babs, who's just finished a 3,400-mile hike across America. In fact, those are no mean feat. A vegetarian, Dr. Babs drinks carrot juice during the interview. Must be quite a diet. She's going to walk from Albury to Blacktown in a week. The 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, and a city pauses with other cities and towns throughout Australia to observe the 2-minute silence of Remembrance Day. A silent and thoughtful city, where the women stand in the street with heads bowed in prayer, and men take off their hats in a salute to departed comrades. At the cenotaph in Martin Place, 10,000 people watch the Governor, Sir Eric Woodward, lay a wreath. Lest we forget, on this Remembrance Day, we pledge again, we will remember them. At Kingsford Smith Airport, Sydney, Anne Baxter and husband Randolph Galt return to Australia. Married in Hawaii, they will live on Galt's station property. Inside the overseas terminal, there's a big welcome from press, newsreel and TV cameramen and reporters. Anne is used to cameras, but she says she has no immediate plans for another film. Both she and her husband, who've made headline news since their wedding plans were announced, hope that as they drive off to their private plane, they'll at last have a chance to be alone. Miles from Balan, Victoria, there's a real boom in water skiing. That's right, you simply hang on to the boom and round you go. The boom's 60 feet long, the water's only 2 feet 6 deep, and skiers can reach speeds of 50 miles an hour on the man-made lake. Max Curry is developing this 2-square-mile property as a tourist resort. There's an occasional falling off in patronage, but generally speaking, things are going swimmingly. The property has 4 lakes, stocked with about 10,000 trout, by the way. When you've mastered the art of skiing on the boom, you can skim over the water behind a speedboat. If you find it tiring work strap hanging for the whole journey, what about this contraption? It's not a vehicle, it's a skiicle. And this fella's in for real trouble. He thinks this is for a TV commercial, but it isn't, so there's no plug.
A Qantas Boeing 707 jet arrives at Mascot, Sydney, and hundreds of teenagers scream with delight. The reason? Right there on top of the mobile steps, Ricky Nelson. There are more than 1,000 in the crowd to meet the American singer whose TV show is, of course, already seen in Australia. Ricky escapes the cheering mob briefly as he goes through customs, but they're going to wait till he appears again. Inside the overseas terminal, Ricky's interviewed for newsreel, TV and radio. He's not there very long, and it's just as well because those teenagers outside are getting mighty impatient. When he appears at the window, the youngsters have to be kept in their place by the strong arms of the law. There are 30 police on duty, and it looks as though they need 30 more. They're kept busy holding the crowd back and passing autograph books from teenagers for Ricky's signature. It's a really riotous welcome for a young American singing star.
More than 5,000 mothers and babies crowd into Sydney Town Hall for National Baby Day with a crawling race for our Olympic hopes of 1980. First baby to crawl to mum wins the prize. Mothers yell encouragement at the Kid Stakes entrance near the finishing line. And here's the winner of the first heat. Another race, or maybe this one's for fillies only. Anyway, they're going great guns, and their trainers, I mean their mothers, are pretty proud. After the Melbourne Cup, New Zealand babies were barred. TV personality Chuck Faulkner interviews the winner. Then the nappy-changing contest. Chuck and Desmond Tester are going stride for stride. Well, I suppose nappies are strides. Here's a fella started in front and ends up behind. The master of suspense, Alfred Hitchcock, attends a 47 Club luncheon in Sydney. Greater Union Chairman Norman B. Ridge sees the club president present Mr. Hitchcock with a boomerang. And then more suspense as he replies to a question from the audience.
What do I think about Australian women?
In comparison to...
Well, I think the Australian woman is very hard done by. I was in the members' enclosure and there were no women there. I said, why not? They said, oh, we don't have them in here. So I said, what, do you have some kind of guilt complex about it or other? Are you ashamed of your mother or something? And then I was introduced to a gentleman, and he said, oh, meet Mr. So-and-so, Mr. Hitchcock. He's quite a ladies' man. I said, and what's he doing in here?
A preview of Sportswear in Melbourne shows just what the outdoor gal will wear this autumn and winter. Here's Julie Day in a skating skirt. We'd describe it exactly, but we'd be skating on thin ice. For golfers, Janice Martin wears a pure wool skirt with self-belt and flat pockets. It's in black and dark red checks. Lots of girls play golf, but if you play cowboys, cop this number. No cracks from the audience, please. Her motto is, have gun, we'll wear 'em. Of course, if you can't get a man with a gun, why not try catching butterflies? This outfit comprises dark green and red poncho with matching slacks half-cuffed. The net result, butterflies in the stomach. The real manhunter wears a safari suit. Watch out, you mean critters. Annie's got her gun, and her sights are on you. Here's Kel Nagel putting it away for one of his many Australian victories. And here's the same Kel getting off a Boeing 707 jet with a small polished wooden box containing the world's most coveted golfing trophy. Kel is greeted by his wife Jean. It's their 18th wedding anniversary, and what a present he's brought home. The trophy that stamps him the world's #1 golfer for 1960. Kel, we hear the St Andrews course is a very tricky one.
Well, a lot of people say that. As a matter of fact, Peter Thompson took me around for about a week, and Peter knows the course so well, and he showed me quite a few places where to go, and I try to sort of do that right throughout the tournament.
And this is the most honoured trophy in golf, is it?
Well, it is at the moment, eh?
I'll say. So never pride of place on your mantelpiece.
Is there any better?
Just prior to the start of the Olympics, stars of Australia's strongest team ever sum up their chances for movie turn. First, a newly engaged Dawn Fraser with champion boxer Tony Madigan.
You must be feeling pretty confident about Rome.
I am. How about you?
I feel pretty good. I don't think I've ever felt better either.
This will make me go much better.
4-minute miler Herb Elliott.
In Rome, it's very hard to say who the main opposition is going to be because there's a heat semi-final and final. And really, anybody who does get into the final will be a very hard man to beat because there will only be 9 of them. But of those, I'd probably pick Siegfried Valentin, the East German, who's been running very good times over the last few months.
John Hendricks with Murray Rose.
I think both of us are very, very aware of the competition in America that we're going to face. Murray and I have both been there for 3 years, and I in particular know that the competition in the sprinting has tremendously increased since 1956. I'm now sprinting as well as I did then and possibly can hope for better times. Whether that'll be good enough, I don't know.
World record holder Marlene Matthews.
I hope I can do my best, and with Tallock's shoe, well, I'm sure that it will bring me luck too.
Gold medalist Lorraine Krapp.
This will be my last competitive season. I won't be swimming after this year. We'll be getting married after the Games and coming back to Australia.
And swim team captain John Devitt.
With the competition that we will receive from America and from the Japanese, the Dutch girls, the swimming will be first class. We don't like to say how many medals that we could win, but we'd like to say that we will be competing for Australia as Australians.
Our past Olympians have set a high standard for today's youngsters who are confident of following in their footsteps, pledged in the words of the Olympic oath that the important thing is not winning, but taking part.
The Olympic flag flies over North Sydney Pool for the Australian swimming titles. These are trials for the Rome Games, too. Barry Holmes of New South Wales in a forward 1.5 somersault. Ken Crotty of Victoria with one of the dives that clinches his place in the team for Rome. The divers may go to America before the Olympics to train under leading United States coaches. It'll be hard to improve on this back 1.5 somersault, though. Barry Holmes is the winner and our main Olympic diving hope. But it's in the swimming events that world records crash. Here's the men's 110 yards butterfly with 16-year-old Neville Hayes setting a great pace. At the turn, there's little between Hayes and Berry, who's only 14. It's a great battle over the last 55 yards. Inch by inch, Hayes draws ahead to beat his younger rival by 4/5 of a second. And Hayes' time of 1 minute 3 seconds is a world record, a 1/5 of a second better than the previous best time. Now the women's 220 freestyle. Dawn Fraser, who's already broken 3 world records in these Olympic trials, is a warm favorite. She's in lane 4, with Ilse Conrads next to her, and then Sandra Morgan. At the first turn, Dawn's already in front and swimming magnificently. She forges further ahead, with Ilse Conrads 5 yards further back and Sandra Morgan third. Ilse's trying desperately to make up the leeway, but now Dawn has streaked away to a 10-yard lead, breaking her own world record by 3.1 seconds. What a pair she and Ilse will be at the Rome Olympic Games this year. Now for the men's 1650 yards freestyle with John Conrads in lane 4. If you can't pick him out right now, don't worry. After a few laps, you'll see him way out on his own. He's set 26 world records since the last Olympic Games, and here's another on the way. A quick, powerful turn, and off on the second lap, with 28 still to go. What a magnificent style Conrads has, with tremendous power in arms and legs. We can't show you all the race, but he's been swimming at this speed for 16 minutes now. That takes real physical condition. On the last lap, he's nearly a minute ahead of his nearest rival. The crowd urges Conrads on as he finishes an amazing swim, slashing his own world record time by 17.7 seconds. Hopes for gold medals are high in a team which boasts world champions like Dawn Fraser and John Conrads. Get ready to rewrite the record books. These boys are traveling fast in the Batist 100, the speed car classic on the Mount Panorama circuit. Disaster's quick to overtake Bib Stillwell, whose front wheel brakes fail with this result. But he's unhurt. And as they roar down the straight, Canberra driver Alex Mildren is setting a pace that's never before been equalled in Australia. 160 miles an hour deserves top honours. Now the Jaguars of the Castrol team get away first in the sedan car scratch race. These drivers aren't wasting any time either, but keep your eyes on David Mackay in car 71 as he goes wide to come through the field. He's recording the fastest time for the sedans, doing 132 miles an hour. And the Castrol Jaguar team have the race all to themselves, filling the first 3 places. No wonder Bill Pitt wears a victory smile.